And then we went into the building for the contract signing for the pay-per-view main event that's going to take place in 9 days from this very moment that they're doing the contract signing. Seems like they'd nail these details down. And Tony brings out Swerve and Nana, and then Tony brings out Ricochet. And one thing you got to say, Ricochet is embracing acting like a big goof, or what do the kids say, dweeb? Do the kids still say dweeb?
Not really.
What is Ricochet acting like?
I don't know, putz, but he's doing a good job. I actually was going to say the same thing. He's kind of starting to win me over. I don't know what the end game is, but he's starting to win me over as this character.
Do you think it's just art imitating life?
Someone said he laughs like Raj from What's Happening.
Well, he's the one that argues with individual fans on Twitter like, I know you are, but what am I type of level shit.
But is that a gimmick? See, that's the question. That's what we don't know. How nuts is he?
But this was before they switched him fucking heel.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, Ricochet said they asked about the robe, Prince Nana's robe, the embassy robe, the coat of many colors. He said, don't worry about the robe. It's being upgraded. It's being modified. And he says, at least I'm here, Swerve, so you don't have to worry about somebody burning your house down again. And, I mean, you say he's embracing it, but I think that's the thing, is here's this small guy, kind of a nondescript look, that it comes off like an indie guy pretending to be a heel wrestler. And doing a contract signing skit. I don't believe him, the sincerity. He's playing bad guy wrestler. And while he's nattering off all this stuff to Swerve, and the camera has a close-up of him, over his shoulder there are two fat people in the front row eating nachos and dipping them in cheese and paying no fucking attention. And they're in the front row. And then when I saw that, that's all I could fucking see from that camera shot. And they were mowing through those fucking nachos, boy. Go back if anybody's got it on your DVR.
I didn't notice this.
When he is talking, watch, I'm telling you. There's one on the left doesn't have a waistline, he's got a coastline.
Hey,
but anyway, so yes.
No, I didn't know if you were going to go back to the contract sign. I was going to ask you what you thought of Swerve's mic work here.
Well, that's the thing. When Ricochet signed and then Swerve started his promo, his whole thing is being the most dangerous man in AEW, and you've unleashed me, and he was being very serious, but it's hard to take him being the most dangerous man in AEW seriously ever since that people started liking him. He's been laid out. He's been involved in these preposterous scenarios where his house got burned down and the blood. And he says then he made the mistake, or Ricochet made the mistake, of leaving him breathing. Like, Ricochet doesn't look like he could kill time to begin with, but people know that there's going to be no death involved here unless it's accidental, and that probability increases weekly with what they do, but nobody's going to kill anybody. And then the fans started chanting Swerve's house, but randomly while Swerve was talking. He didn't call for it. That's all they want to do now. When they see Swerve is chant Swerve's house. Whose house? Swerve's house, because that's their time to do something. But it threw Swerve off his promo because they just started chanting in the middle of his fucking interview. And, Swerve said Ricochet is going to be known for me kicking your ass and your ring announcer wife, and I'm going to end you. And Ricochet got pissed. But, I mean, he had the aura and the people supporting him at one point. We've talked about that was months ago and months, and as soon as they decided to make his baby harassing and fucking home invading make him a baby face, then he's been ever since, hadn't he? And poor Nana, just a wishy-washy fucking dish rag being passed around.
That's why I asked you about what you thought about Swerve's mic work, just because I was kind of blown away how it seemed like he was having a tough time saying whatever he wanted to say. He had a lot of it probably in his head. He stutter stepped a few times. But no, I think the enthusiasm for the Swerve's House chant is up. The enthusiasm for his promos and matches, maybe not so much. And I'm not looking forward to the match, but, the Ricochet character as it's developing, it is at least I'm interested in that. At least I'm interested in that. And we'll see what happens there.
How many times are they going to take the biggest babyface free agent on the market and make the people boo him out of the building?
What'd you think of the line about Samantha Irvin?
Well, they went ooh about that just because that sounds inside, right?
Well, because they all know that she was a WWE ring announcer.
Well, yes. And that was the ooh moment, but then when Swerve signed the thing and the fans were chanting, holy shit, because he mentioned I didn't actually mention by name his wife, but he mentioned his wife. Swerve just turns around and turns his back on Ricochet and stands there. And it was almost like they were doing a walkthrough. I was like, why didn't you just stand up and turn your back and stand there? Ricochet pulls scissors out of his inside jacket pocket and goes to stab Swerve in the head. He spins Swerve around and Swerve blocks the scissors, pulls out his own scissors with the other hand, and stabs Ricochet in the head. And Ricochet takes a bump over the table and the camera's off of him for a while and on a close-up of Swerve so that we don't have any of those embarrassing, we're going to call them Moxleys, where you can see the guy drilling for oil in his own fucking scalp. But then we saw Ricochet again, and he's selling it like he's been impaled on a goddamn lance from Sir Lancelot. And he got a pap smear. That's what they used to call it in the business, Brian, when you were scared to get juice and you got a trickle that maybe extended to your eyebrow. He got a pap smear. And Swerve turned around and walked off. What the fuck are we doing now? Block the scissors and stab me is now being called as a high spot.
Should AEW start selling scissors at the merchandise stand?
No, I'm afraid the fans will cut their fucking wrists.
If you know someone's coming at you with scissors, how would you do it? Would you prepare yourself with your own scissors, or would you get
your own scissors? If the motherfucker was trying to stab me with scissors and I'd reached up with my left arm and managed to block it, I'd either poke him in the eyes or kick him in the balls. I wouldn't stand there while I pulled my own scissors out of my coat pocket. If
only Ricochet had a long head of hair, at least you could say they're building up to him losing that long head of hair. But that ain't it.
But it's just so childish or stupid or not well thought out or fake. Or, again, everybody being involved in these things cumulatively over time, it diminishes their standing in the eyes of most of the viewers, except the, again, most dedicated, hardest core to run off, and that's why they're down to where they can barely hit 600,000 people. And Uncle Dave will try to, well, we can't measure Netflix, but it was the same goddamn number before Netflix as after. It's made negligible difference either way. There wasn't a drop of any kind, and there hasn't been a rise because nobody's fucking. And I say, oh, goddamn, now that I can finally see AEW on, what is it? Not Netflix, but Max. It's changed my life now. No. Who's saying that? Who's coming to this?
What do you
And
think
it's because of shit like this.
What do you think is worse, the scissors or the screwdriver?
Chicken or the egg. They're both stupid. And you don't use things you can't work with. You don't use things that, I mean, I'm sure somebody would say, what a great angle if they made a foam baseball bat and just hauled off and Babe Ruth swings somebody in the head and they took a bump but then got up. They'd go, wow. But for most people, it's like, what the fuck? You've just insulted me. This is ridiculous. This couldn't possibly happen. It's just a bad program with bad acting and bad stunt work. And when they go through fake walls, bad special effects. And that's why I'm saying it. And it's just over and over now. And that's why everybody's been diminished in the viewers, that they're down to almost half of where they were regularly 5 years ago. And yes, the WWE is so much better, but AEW is legitimately worse. And they have run off a bunch of people that were watching their program for a while that don't anymore because this kind of just goofiness. Anyway,